sister-in-law is trying to seduce me in order to ruin my marriage, and my wife believed her. I'm not sure if I'm reading too much into it or if my instincts are right. I'm 38, and I've been married to my wife, Kate, who's 39, for 5 years. We both work and pay our own bills, a simple life. This isn't about her. It's about my sister-in-law, Ángela, who is 32. She's a complete red flag. The kind of person who gives off bad vibes and makes everyone around her feel uncomfortable. I'd even say that being near her is uncomfortable in and of itself. Ángela always makes sure everything revolves around her, and if she isn't getting the attention, she'll do just about anything to desperately reclaim it. When we visit Kate's parents, Ángela dominates the conversation, interrupting Kate mid-sentence or completely ignoring her opinions as if they don't matter. I see that hint of pain in Kate's eyes, but she never says anything. She just lets it go, like she always has. The more I watch, the more I realize that this isn't new. Ángela has walked all over Kate her whole life, and her parents let it happen. Ángela is the golden child, always getting her way, while Kate, the responsible one, is expected to be the mature one, to work hard, build a career, and let Ángela do whatever she wants. That's why Ángela didn't even finish high school. On top of that, I feel like Ángela has a strange obsession with eclipsing everyone, especially Kate. She thinks that wearing revealing clothes somehow makes her superior, smarter, more attractive. It doesn't. It just makes her seem cheap and desperate. Surprisingly, Kate never notices. And even if she did, she doesn't care. Quite the opposite. Kate stays calm, elegant, and never gets involved in unnecessary drama. That's one of the reasons I love her. She's smart, well-educated, and dedicated to working hard. Simple. Sometimes I feel she's too naive when it comes to her family. Anyone in her shoes would have hated their sister and mother for being so cruel. There were many times I heard Ángela make hurtful comments about how Kate dresses, her hair, or something else. And her mother would always take Ángela's side. Kate never defended herself. To protect herself, she'd simply walk away. The first time I met her family, it was hard to believe they could have raised someone like Kate. The first question Ángela asked me was, "How much do you make?" Not a hello, not a polite conversation to start with. Just straight to business. "How much money do you make?" It was awkward, to say the least. I looked at Kate, hoping she'd shut her mouth, but she just smiled and let it slide. I was relieved she didn't answer. That would have been offensive to me. Kate isn't one to pick fights, and I respect that. In the 5 years of our marriage, and 3 years of dating, I've only seen Ángela a few times. I don't feel comfortable around her. There's something odd in the way she looks at me. It's subtle but unsettling. She has those things, like holding eye contact for too long, or making comments that seem to border on being inappropriate, like lines meant for flirting disguised as jokes. Nothing so obvious that I can call her out directly, but enough to make me uncomfortable more than once. Since she's my wife's sister, I can't just go to Kate with vague accusations. Although there were times when I confronted Kate about Ángela's weird vibes, Kate wouldn't get mad. She'd say I was overreacting. So, I figured it was best to stay away from Ángela. I avoided sitting next to her at family gatherings and steered clear of events where she'd be the center of attention, like her birthdays and the like. 4 months ago, I got a big promotion at work. I'm in the automotive industry, and as part of the promotion, I was given a Land Cruiser. It was a huge achievement for me, and Kate and I celebrated with friends and family. Ángela, of course, was there. I could see her mind processing the new car, calculating exactly how much I must be making. Casually, she slipped a question into the conversation. "How many zeros got added to your salary?" I just smiled and let it go, not dignifying it with an answer, like I took it as a joke. Since that day, I feel like Ángela has been stalking me. She started flirting more, or at least what I'd call flirting. She'd stand way too close whenever we were in the same room. My Instagram is private, but she's sent me follow requests almost 10 times since then. I've never accepted any of them. Her intentions became clear when, out of nowhere, she showed up at my office. She said she was just passing by and thought she'd say hi. It felt weird, but I remained polite. She asked if I was heading home and if she could join me. I told her it would take a while. After a bit of back and forth, she left, and I immediately told Kate. Her reaction was very casual. Kate said, "Oh, it's been a while since I've seen you." She must have been nearby and decided to say hi. It's not a big deal. I didn't push it and let it drop. Last week, Ángela did it again. This time, she brought me food, saying, "I know you must be starving working so hard and making money. You deserve some rewards." I told her I was busy and didn't want to have lunch at that moment. She insisted, acting almost childishly, saying that she was hungry and would faint if I didn't indulge her. In the end, she got the hint and left. I told Kate, and she brushed it off, saying that Ángela was just trying to be nice so that we'd take her on our trip to the Maldives this summer. I urged Kate to try to see her sister's true intentions, but Kate dismissed it, saying, "Ángela wouldn't look at you like that. She wouldn't settle for anything less than private yachts." Now, I don't know what to do. I don't have solid evidence to prove my point. There's a slight chance that she's been doing all of this just to get a free trip, and nothing more. A trip that, by the way, she isn't even going to get. What do you all think, and what should I do? Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe. New stories every day. Update 1. This woman is a witch. I should have seen it coming. Or rather, I was seeing it, but Kate wasn't, and that's why I was so stressed. Let's just say my worst fear came true. 2 weeks ago, Kate was out of town on a work trip. She travels for work for a week every 6 months. It was nighttime and I was home alone, about to go to sleep, when I heard the doorbell. And it was Ángela. The moment I opened the door, she came inside calling for Kate. I told her, "Sorry, wait, Kate isn't home." By then, she'd already been lounging on my couch. Then she got up and acted surprised, like, "Where is she?" I informed her that Kate was on her work trip. Then she smiled a mischievous smile and said, "You must be feeling lonely, right?" I was stunned by her question. Had the conversation happened at the door, her expression would have been captured by the doorbell camera. So, smartly, she came inside the house. I told her in a serious tone that her behavior was inappropriate and that she needed to leave. She got up, caressed my arm, and whispered, "Let me give you a little action." I stepped back and yelled, "What the hell? Get lost." When she tried to come closer again, I pushed her away. She started laughing and said she was just playing with me. I said, "Please, leave now." She put on a look of superiority, leaned toward me, and said, "I know she can't satisfy you, but I can." I literally bolted to the door, opened it, and shouted for her to get out. As she left, she touched my hand and said, "In case you get tired of playing it safe, you know where to find me." At that moment, I lost my patience and yelled some insults at her. She replied with a bitter look, saying that I'd regret it. As soon as she left, I immediately grabbed my phone to call Kate and tell her everything. She didn't answer. It was midnight where she was, so she was probably asleep. I regret having left my phone in my room when I went to open the door, otherwise, I could have recorded the conversation. That idea came to me much later. I really regret not checking who it was before opening the door. I couldn't sleep most of the night trying to call Kate, hoping she'd answer. Part of me wanted to leave a voicemail, but it wasn't appropriate to share such a delicate incident that way. God knows how she'd interpret it. I don't know when I fell asleep, but when I woke up in the morning, my phone was buzzing with furious calls from Kate, accusing me of making out with Ángela. While I slept, Ángela twisted the story and painted me as the villain. According to her, she'd come to see Kate. I told her that Kate wasn't in town and that I was feeling lonely. That made her uncomfortable, so she got up to leave. Supposedly, I grabbed her arm, pulled her toward me, and said, "Let's have some fun." Somehow, she managed to break free and escape from me. Kate later checked the door camera recording and confirmed that Ángela had entered the house. When she left, the recording showed Ángela with a bitter expression, like she was saying something to me. I was astonished. Her level of lying was incredible. How can someone stoop so low? I told my side of the story, and she laughed in my face, saying, "Who do you think you are for my sister to try to seduce you? She has all the rich, successful, and handsome guys lining up in her messages waiting for her reply, and you want me to believe she seduced you? I'm not stupid. Save your lies for someone else," and she hung up. Since then, she hasn't returned my calls or texts. I thought that when she got back we could talk about it. She was supposed to return this Sunday, but she never showed up or let me know. Later, I saw her story on Instagram. She was at her mother's house. It hurt because she didn't even give me the benefit of the doubt, nor did she properly ask for my side of the story before jumping to conclusions. I called her again, and she answered in a cold tone. I started explaining what really happened, but she interrupted me, saying, "Enough, I don't want to hear it." She went on about how Ángela was crying when she called, saying she'd been terrified by my supposed insinuations. Apparently, Ángela told Kate that I grabbed her arms, tried to kiss her, and forced myself on her before she managed to escape. I tried to stay calm and asked Kate to think logically about this because, after years of actively avoiding Ángela, would I suddenly jump on her? She responded, "I don't know, maybe you felt tempted. Maybe you've been creating a fantasy in your head lately and wanted to live it out. We know you've been talking a lot about her recently. Was I supposed to be tempted by Ángela, that slut?" I asked her how she could even think that. She just said, "Ángela wouldn't lie about something like that." That's when I lost it. I reminded her of all the times Ángela had subtly tried to flirt. Those strange eye contacts, the unjustified visits. Kate went silent for a moment before saying, "I don't want to keep arguing about this." I felt like I was talking to a stranger. It wasn't the person I knew. She was acting like a puppet, completely falling into her sister's hands, and worst of all, she chose to blindly believe someone who has always put my wife down instead of me, the one who's been by her side for years. I know I should have recorded my interaction with Ángela, but I shouldn't have to justify myself so much to my own wife. She's seen my interactions with Ángela over the years, and worse, she's been her sister for much longer. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I shouldn't even have to tell Kate my side of the story. She should have stopped Ángela with her lies. The fact that she blindly believes Ángela's version, after all these years of her abusing my wife, should have been a huge red flag. I don't want to say the word, but at this point, I don't know if the idea of the word that rhymes with territory is even far-fetched. Update 2. I'm getting a divorce. If she trusts her sister more than me, then she can keep her. I'm tired of fighting for someone who refuses to see the truth right in front of her eyes. Before reaching this decision, I went to her house to talk one last time. The moment she opened the door, I knew it was useless. There was no warmth, no concern, just a cold detachment. Her mother was there too, arms crossed and eyes full of hatred toward me, making faces like I was some kind of disgusting pest they had to put up with. Before I could even say a word, her mother added, "What nerve you have coming here after what you did to Ángela?" I clenched my fists but kept my composure and replied firmly, "I did nothing." She then made an ironic remark, "Oh, sure, you're the innocent one. Poor you." Kate was standing there with her arms crossed and empty eyes, as if she'd already decided it wasn't worth listening to me. In a cold tone, she asked, "What do you want?" I responded, even before saying anything else, "I want to ask you, do you trust me?" She replied mockingly, "Look who's talking about trust after what you did to my sister. It's obvious you don't." I told her, "Then there's no point in talking anymore. Everything I say will just sound like a lie to you. But don't forget, you're the one ruining everything. You know I've been warning you about Ángela's intentions for a long time and yet you fell for her game." She wasn't willing to listen. She shook her head and asked, "Why would my sister try to seduce you? What's she gonna gain from that?" I looked at her incredulously and admitted, I don't know. Maybe to mess up your stability. Maybe for love. Maybe she wants the life you have. Me too. Me too. The truth is, I really don't know. Then she laughed as if I was the punchline of some big joke. Do you really think you're that important? My sister isn't interested in a guy like you. Someone who could be cheating with his wife's sister. I was left speechless. I knew that anything I said would be turned against me, so I simply got up to leave. She thought I was going to apologize and beg. And when I didn't, she said, you should be grateful that Ángela hasn't pressed charges for stalking you. As if she was doing me a favor by lying instead of completely destroying me. There was nothing left to save. She wasn't the woman I married anymore, wasn't my partner. She was Ángela's puppet. I wasn't going to waste another second trying to convince her otherwise. I didn't say another word, turned around, and left that house. That was a metaphor for me leaving the marriage. That same day, I hired a lawyer and started the divorce process. I refused to be with a woman who doesn't trust me. I was literally in shock, thinking that this witch really has the power to ruin my life. If she pressed stalking charges against me, how could I even defend myself? Even if she couldn't prove her accusations, I'd have to spend years showing my innocence. My career, my life, it would all be over. I asked my lawyer to get a restraining order against Ángela. Apparently, it's not as easy as it seems. The court won't issue one unless there's a clear sign of potential threat. Still, I told him to give it a shot for my own good. Meanwhile, I've been trying to focus a bit on my life, trying not to dwell too much on the matter. I feel bad that Ángela is getting everything she wanted, ruining her sister's life, and she can't even see it. But on the other hand, I think my wife will eventually see it too. If not, she'll have to live a miserable life around her sister. All this time, there was no communication from her side. She didn't even pick up her things. When she got the papers, she sent me a text. So instead of owning up to her mistake, she chose to run away. Not that run away is even a proper word, because in our last interaction, she had already ended the marriage. I'm just here doing the paperwork to make it official. I don't know, if she wanted something else out of this, she should have talked to me. She's digging her own grave by believing her. She doesn't realize it now, but eventually, she will. Ángela did all this out of envy. She couldn't stand to see her sister enjoying a happy life while she jumped from one admirer to another. That's why Ángela did what she did. It bothers her to see her sister happy. I don't think I'm a catch or anything like that, but I have tried to be a good husband to her and give her a good life. Something that Ángela doesn't get from people who pay to have her available whenever they need affection. I didn't reply, it made no sense. My lawyer sent me an email saying that all communication must be done through legal channels and that she shouldn't contact me directly. Doing so would only complicate the case. And since he's the one who knows more and I'm paying for his services, I'm going to follow his advice. I haven't heard from her since. My lawyer confirmed today that Kate signed the papers. Now it's just a matter of processing everything. Since she didn't contest it, my lawyer hopes it won't take long, and I feel relieved. I thought she might fight, stretch out the process, but she didn't. Well, that's probably for the best for me. Maybe she's stuck in her pride and thinks that I'll eventually come crawling back, begging for forgiveness over something I never did. She's wrong. I'm fed up with her and her whole family. I thought my wife had escaped the toxicity, but I was wrong. I'll post another update when it's all over. Update 3. Things are finally starting to swing in my favor, thankfully. We were just one step away from finalizing the divorce when, all of a sudden, I got a call from Kate, crying and apologizing. I was pretty shocked by what was happening. I mean, she moved out without any argument, signed the papers without contesting, and months ago even sent movers to take all her things without even coming to get them herself. All this time, she hadn't called or texted me once. She was cold and businesslike, moving forward and handling things without a shred of emotion. So what changed now? She found out the truth about Ángela. It turns out Ángela found herself a rich guy who actually owns a yacht and showers her with all kinds of luxuries, and she's rubbing it in Kate's face with relish. By the way, this guy is a nearly 60-year-old divorcee, but that's beside the point. Not only Ángela, but even her mother turned cold toward Kate. As soon as Kate was notified about the divorce, her mother told her to look for a place to live, saying, "Now that you're separating, you need to find your own spot. We can't have you here forever." Kate is financially solid, so finding a place wasn't hard, but emotionally she was sinking. She needed her family's support during this dark divorce period, but they all turned their backs on her. Lately, Ángela's boyfriend threw a big birthday party for her and invited friends and family, including Kate. At the party, Ángela introduced Kate to her friends, telling everyone that Kate was divorcing because her husband made out with her. She recounted her version of the incident with a sense of pride, as if it were an achievement that her sister's husband found her attractive. Some of her friends looked down on Kate and thought it wasn't surprising that her husband, meaning me, fell for Ángela. According to them, Kate was boring and dressed old-fashioned, so apparently, her husband, yep, that's me, fell in love with Ángela. Kate eventually realized that maybe my version of events was the truth and that Ángela really twisted the story. She confronted Ángela to get to the bottom of it. Ángela yelled at her like a doormat, saying, "Your husband was an idiot, and you know what? I think you deserve it because you're also a loser. You rubbed your husband's success in my face all these years, now get ready to witness mine." Although Ángela didn't give a straight answer, Kate got the message and immediately called me to apologize and try to make things right. I listened patiently before telling her, "I'm sorry, but it's too late, that ship has sailed." She begged me to stop the process, to get back together, but I had already made up my mind. She promised everything under the sun, but I stood firm. I told her, "You ruined it all. I'll still have everything I dreamed of, just without you." She showed up at the house, but I never opened the door. I learned my lesson about checking the peephole before opening. The divorce dragged on a bit because, all of a sudden, she wasn't ready for it and kept pleading to work on our marriage. I stayed resolute in my decision to divorce her. Everything's over now, and I'm free of that toxic family. I don't feel even a hint of sadness for Kate. Yes, we had a happy marriage at one point, but the moment she chose to side with her lying sister over me, it was done. Some of my friends say I made an impulsive decision and that I might give her another chance now that she's realized the truth. But that's not the point. This whole ordeal revealed my value in her life, and I believe I'm doing the right thing by divorcing her. It feels good to be back here, this time for reasons that don't affect me directly. It's nice to be with you all again and share some new updates in my story. For starters, I got a dog, and unlike my ex, I don't think a dog is going to betray me over one of its siblings. I adopted him off the street, so we don't really know who his siblings are. All I know is that he's found a family with me, and I've found a family in him. I'm not here to talk about my ex. I haven't heard much from her in a while. She tried to contact me after the divorce, but I chose not to respond because I didn't need it. Then she stopped trying, and that's that. But I found it interesting the other day when I read in the local paper about Ángela. I didn't hear about this until everything was settled, so I hadn't updated you on it. The story is this. One of her sugar daddies dumped her for another woman. A newer model with less mileage, I suppose, and that really didn't sit well with Ángela. So she accused him on social media of being abusive in the relationship. I won't bore you with all the details, but you can imagine the things she accused him of out of spite. But this sugar daddy, besides having money, which Ángela loves, also had connections. He hired a couple of well-known attorneys in the city, the kind who take all the high-profile cases, and they sued until Ángela completely lost interest in hanging out with these kinds of men. Or at least that's what I figure, because if you had to pay around 83 grand, rounding the figure, you'd probably want to settle down and stop wasting your time. But of course, I'm me and Ángela is, well, a demon. I don't know what her family thinks of her now, But I love that this woman is finally getting a taste of karma for her false accusations. In the end, she couldn't always get her way in life. Things are finally catching up to her. I don't see it as revenge for me, though. She can say what she wants, but it was always my ex who chose to believe either her or me. I can't blame third parties for this when, ultimately, it could have been solved by simply ignoring her. Still, there's no doubt. Ángela is a bad person, and karma has done its job.